Game jams are great. You sit down with a group of people or alone and create the fun experience in a given time frame according to a given theme. For most game jams, this time frame is 48 hours. In the Trijam, this time frame is only 3 hours. That's not a lot of time. In fact, I usually need 3 hours just to set up the Git project, and it's without the Git ignore. Let's try it anyways. Luckily, according to the Trijam rules, preparing, setting up your project, exporting it, or even setting up an itch page doesn't count towards the time limit, so we can prepare without getting stressed out. The theme of the 121st Trijam was Exploring Spacetime.
What is spacetime? You already know.
So if you move faster, time moves slower for you, as seen by others. As you approach the speed of light, time seems to stop, meaning everything happens at once. So that means if you move faster, it looks like everything else moves faster too, I think. My idea was to create a game where the player controls some sort of spaceship, but if the player moves faster, all other objects move faster as well, making it more difficult to evade any obstacles. However, the player still needs a reason to go faster, right? So the goal of the game is to pick up these rare space blueberries while avoiding asteroids. I've chosen blueberries because I wanted to make the asteroids, the bad things, red, and the opposite of red is blue. So important information is conveyed via colors, but the game obviously can still be played even when you're colorblind. And the player slowly runs out of blueberries, and once the blueberry supply is gone, game over. The incentive for moving faster is that the blueberry supply lasts equally long no matter how fast you go, meaning the player can pick up more blueberries if they go faster. Don't know if that's 100% correct according to physics, but it's probably a good gameplay concept that fits the theme well, I guess. And since we have to be realistic about the scope, let's just randomly generate asteroids on blueberries and make the game a simple retry for a better high score type of game. Now, to use the 3 hours efficiently, I planned out the steps needed to take. At first, creating the pixel art of the sprites, creating a basic Unity scene with the basic player movement, implementing asteroids and the blueberries, creating a score and high score UI, creating a basic game loop where if you die you can press start again or something like that. Then we need to create at least some sounds and some music, and finally we maybe should also plan in some time for playtesting and adjusting the difficulty and so on. And if we've any time left, probably a music mute button, a credits, a parallax background or anything else would probably be cool. So I've already set up the Unity and the Git project, and thus the countdown begins. I settled on a very low-res pixel art style because it's easy to pull off and it doesn't take a lot of time. With the art done, I started working on the Unity game scene, importing all sprites and adding basic player movement. I thought about having WASD for the direction you are going and the mouse Y position controlling how fast you are going. But that seemed way too complicated, and honestly I'm glad I didn't use that approach because it probably wouldn't have worked well. In the end I settled for having mouse only controls and you point in the direction you want to go. And the further you point your mouse away from the spaceship, the faster you go. So it's pretty intuitive, I think. Afterwards I added basic collision detection and some particle effects. To be honest, I wasted lots of time here. I mainly used Unity for 3D games before and I didn't know there's a separate method for 3D and 2D collisions. Then I added the blueberry supply UI. Afterwards I tackled the time scaling with the player movement, which ended up working really well, I think. Then I made the simple dev screen and showing your final score and your high score, and also how you died might be interesting to know for the player. Now the basic game loop was implemented and I could do at least some polishing. I fixed the planet in the background being too light. I thought that some players might confuse it with an obstacle and not a background element. Then I added the rest of my asteroid sprites, which made the game feel way more alive. I created the sound effects using SFXR, and especially the asteroid crash sound came out pretty well in my opinion. For the music I used Boscasioil. I didn't have lots of time, okay? This person right here, this person gets it. Then I fixed some of the asteroids not colliding with the player. Afterwards I finally added that the asteroids move in a randomized direction. I added a simple blueberry rotation to give a time feedback on those as well. And somehow on the way I lost the particles. This cost me a lot of time, but I eventually managed to fix the problem. And I think it was a good decision to fix those particles because they also give some sense of time to the player. And time's up. Actually, it took me 3 hours and 9 minutes to create a pretty simple but playable prototype for a Spacetime game. Obviously it's not perfect by any means, but it is actually pretty fun and I think I did pretty alright for my first Trijam. In the end I reached the 7th place of the jam, so I'm really happy with the result and I'm really happy about all the positive comments I got for my game. I kind of wish I would have had more time to fix some issues I encountered during development or after submitting the game though. First of all, while the world basically is endless, the background is not. At some point you simply stop seeing stars or planets in the background anymore. Secondly, all asteroids and blueberries spawned and won't get deleted unless you die or eat the blueberries. So this creates a pretty laggy experience if you play for long enough, or it might even crash your game. And the movement speed depends on how many pixels you move your mouse cursor away from your screen center. This means that if you have a 4K monitor, you can move faster than someone with a full HD screen. So that should be fixed as well, and it should be normalized on all screen resolutions. And finally, the music can get pretty repetitive very soon. A simple mute button would have been very useful. Maybe I will fix these issues one day, who knows. After the jam rating period was over, I fixed these issues. Except for the background thing, I didn't bother doing that. I still left the original submission available to download though, in case anyone wants to play the original version or whatever. But I'm really glad I fixed 3 of those most severe issues, so I can now have closure about the project and I can now move on to other projects. If you want to play the game yourselves, it's free, the link is in the description. My high score is 7, I would love to know yours, so please tell me in the comments what's your high score. Thank you for watching, please consider subscribing and have a great day.